Hey all, today I want to talk about something pretty interesting. I want to share how I'm making about $400 a month passive income from crypto bots on a relatively small investment. And if you're part of the SeedTime community and been paying attention at all, you know that I'm working towards having a full-time passive income by 2024. And so I'm in the phase of trying a lot of stuff out and experimenting with a lot of different stuff. And so this is an experiment that I've actually been working on for about 5 months. And so I want to take you into my account and show you exactly how this works, exactly what I've been doing, and what kind of results I've been getting from it. Now, before we dive in, I have to say this is not financial advice for you. I'm not your financial advisor. And we're talking about cryptocurrency. So in case you don't know, this is risky. Any investment at all, you can lose money. And cryptocurrency is probably one of the more risky investments that you can find. But I will say that I've experimented with a lot of different crypto stuff over the last, probably 5 months or so. And I will say, I think this is one of the least risky, or potentially could be one of the least risky ways to invest in crypto. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. But point is, you can lose money. You have to know that up front. There's no investment that is a guarantee that you will not lose money. And so you have to know that up front. And this is cryptocurrency, and there's definitely risk involved. So I just want to make sure we are on the same page with that before we dive deeper into this. All right, so coming back to a little bit of a higher level and explaining what's actually happening here and what we're doing before I kind of dive into our account. Basically, what I'm doing with this method, and I'll go into more of the detail behind it, is I'm setting up bots that are automatically trading. And so it's grid trading. They're automatically trading at different points as the price of a specific cryptocurrency goes up or down. And so it's completely passive, which I absolutely love, and I love that about it. And the gist of what's happening is that you're profiting off of the volatility of crypto. And so we all know crypto is very volatile. It's going up and down a lot, and that's what makes this work. If crypto wasn't volatile, this wouldn't work at all. But because it is, we can set up little automated bots that are constantly buying and selling for us as the market moves up and down a little bit. And each time they do, we make just a little bit of money. And so a lot of these trades that it's actually making for me, I might only be making 25 or 50 cents, but when it's making hundreds or thousands of trades, that begins to add up. And it's a unique approach to investing in crypto that I haven't seen before at all. All right, so with that, I am sure you probably want to take a look at my account and see what's going on. So let me flip over there so I can explain a little bit of what we have going on. And so this right here is my BitsGap account. And this is the actual trading software that I'm using to make all of these trades. And so what I have right here, I have 2 bots set up. And the gist of it, like I said, is basically what's happening. All these little dots here, and let me zoom in a little bit better for you. So all these red lines, these are all the grid lines. Let's see if I can. And so each time you see a little dot here, what's happening is this is a buy or sell. So this is called grid trading, and the gist of what we're doing is we're setting up a whole bunch of buy and sell lines spread out just a little bit all throughout here for these different price points. And so what we're doing here, you can see these red lines here and then these green lines down below. And so basically, when we set up one of these bots, we're setting up all these different buy and sell orders at different prices all throughout. And then as the price of the coin goes up and down each time, it'll buy some or it'll sell some. It'll buy some or sell some. And then each time it sells some, I'm making just a little bit of money. So let me go ahead and just flip over here and kind of break into the stats and just show you what's going on here. So right here, all of these are all the different buy and sell orders. And on each one of these sell orders, this is the amount of profit that I'm making. So in this case, it's about 9 cents on each of these. But as you can see, there's a lot of them. And in fact, there's 633 transactions, and a lot of them are sell orders and making me about 9 cents each time it does that. And so in this case, this bot has been set up for a little bit less than 4 days, so about 3 days, and it's had 634 transactions. And so, so a fair number of them are the sell orders where I'm making just a little bit of money. And then that, of course, adds up. And so over the last 3 days and 19 hours, it's yielded me $20 profit. And again, this was off about $900 investment in 20 days, which, if it continues at this rate, that comes out to, close to, $180 or something in 1 month off of $900, which is crazy. That seems nuts. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brain around that. But that's the gist of how this one has been performing. This other one, this is Ethereum USD. So what's going on here is we have one coin. And so in this case, it's Ethereum, which you've probably heard of. And then USDT is a stable coin. And so it's a coin pairing, those two working together. And so it's alternating between the two. That's what's happening. So it's either buying Ethereum and trading that for USDT or doing the opposite. And this particular one I've had open for about 2 months and a day, and it's earned me $449 on, I think it was about a $5,000 investment, which comes out to an 8.5% return over 2 months. Again, like this is hard for me to wrap my brain around because I have been in the financial industry for a long time, and I come from the world where if you're making more than 10% per year, you should be really, really happy. And no doubt, like again, crypto, there's a lot of volatility, but I'm really excited about the potential of this. And like I said, I've been doing this for 5 months now and experimenting with it. And I've opened some bots and closed some bots, and I've seen the market go up and I've seen the market come down. And so maybe in November, December, we saw the market drop quite a bit. And that was interesting for me to watch. And I'm really glad I got to experience it. So let me just kind of break down what's going on here. So this column is showing us our bot profit. This is what the bot has actually earned. So in this case, this bot has earned $20 in the 3 days that it's been open. This one has earned about $450 in the 2 months it's been open. And so this is actual earnings that I have. So this is actualized earnings, if you will. So because it's sold it, this money is now added to my account. And so I can just leave these bots and just let them keep running. And it's just going to be spitting little amounts of money into my account. And then I can take that money and then do whatever I want. I can get enough and open up a new bot, or I can go use it to whatever the heck I want. So it's just straight passive income. And that's what's really cool about this. And so that's the dollar amount. And then this percentage is a percentage profit that this bot has made, which again, this is 2% in almost 4 days, which is just nuts. And I mean, I hope it continues like that, because that's the thing. They don't always continue at such a great rate. Like this one was actually for a while over 10%, and now it's down to 8.5%. So they're not necessarily always staying at the same rate of return, because it's based off of how volatile that coin is and how many trades you're doing. And then this column up here, this shows our total bot profit. And so this is the total of, this one made 20, this one made 449, gives us 469. Our total average return since we've done this. And then the sum total, P&L, is actually only $48. Now, the reason it is because 2 of these coins have actually gone down in value. So the coins can go up or down in value themselves, which will either amplify or decrease what's going on with your total earnings. So even though the bots have earned me $469, my total, if I were to close everything out right now, would only be a $48 gain because the coins have gone down in value. Now, if the coins are going up in value, then it kind of amplifies it. And so I might have had $469 of bot profit, but I might have $700 of total profit because the coins went up. So what's cool about this, what I found in November and December when the market was just kind of tanking, the crypto market was dropping a lot, the great thing about this is it reduces your losses. If you're going to be holding cryptocurrency anyway, if you're holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, or really any other altcoins that you're excited about holding for the long term, what's great is that when those coins go down, you're still making money. And that is really cool. So it reduces your loss. And that's what I meant at the beginning, where I said this might be the least risky way to invest in cryptocurrency, or it could be, depending on what you're investing in. And so I found that to be pretty cool because there were certain coins I was invested in that dropped 50% in value, but I only actually lost about 20% because of this, and because it was earning me money all the way down as it's wiggling and just dropping down and earning, as it's going down. So all things being equal, like I want the coins to go up, because there's more money to be made that way. But it's nice having a little bit of downside protection, knowing that I'm going to be making money as it's going down as well. Okay, so how did I learn about this stuff? So back in October, I had a friend who was recommending kind of a program that he went through from this guy named Dan, who was teaching his exact strategy of how he did this. And this guy actually spent millions of dollars kind of going through trying to figure out the perfect settings and the perfect way to do this to minimize risk and to maximize gains. And so I ended up going through his program, and that's how I learned this whole thing. And I would love to share all the details with you, the exact details. But the problem, or not problem, good thing, however you want to describe it, is part of being part of that program is that you have to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, basically saying that you will not share the secret sauce with anyone else. And like I said, Dan spent millions of dollars kind of figuring this out. And so I can appreciate that he doesn't want it to get out too far and wide. And so you have to go through his course in order to learn the actual method. So that being said, I went through Dan's course. It's a really good course. He's a former teacher, and so he's really good at explaining things. I've been in a lot of different online courses, and there's a lot of people with online courses who are not good teachers, and he's actually a really good teacher. And I found it to be very, very helpful. And I honestly think even if you don't know anything about crypto, he can take you from those beginning stages and to kind of help you navigate through this. Because to be honest, like this whole thing is really pretty easy. It's like you need to go through the training. It's going to take you some time to just learn everything. But the settings, like once you have everything, it's super passive and it's very set it and forget it. And so like since I've changed my bots maybe 3 or 4 times. And so you can just leave a bot run for sometimes months at a time without making any changes. And as Dan says in the class, a lot of times the ones who do the best are the ones who just don't do anything. Just leave it alone. Just let it run and run its course and just let it keep making you money passively throughout. So like I said, I started doing this about 5 months ago. I feel like I've learned a lot in this process, and I'll just share a few of the highlights of things, some pros and cons of whatever, the whole thing. I definitely think this is legit. You know, when I first saw this, I mean, there was part of me that's like, there's no way this is too good to be true. This is some sort of scam. I don't think this is a scam in any way. Like, you know, I've had my own money invested in this for over 5 months now. Dan seems completely legit. I mean, they have, I think, over 10,000 students at this point, you know, and he does a lot of things really, really well and right. And so after I signed up for the program, I went through the training in which, you know, it's very thorough. It's very comprehensive. I went through in 2x speed because I had already been invested in some crypto. And so I felt like I knew the space a little bit. But for someone who hasn't invested in any crypto at all, he kind of holds your hand and kind of guides you through the whole process and kind of walks you through it. Their customer support with the program I found to be fantastic. Like they're very responsive and just very, very helpful. And there were a lot of questions that I asked. I had questions about, I mean, maybe even to an annoying point, just asking a lot of questions. And there were a handful where Dan himself came back and answered for me if somebody else couldn't find the answer. Because yeah, me going into this, like I very much consider this an experiment for myself, and I'm okay losing my own money. But like before I ever talk about this to you, obviously, like I said, this is a risky thing and you can lose money in it. And maybe we can talk about a little bit how you can do that. But I want to feel confident that this isn't a scam before I even have an opinion on it that I'm going to share with you, if that makes sense. You know, because again, like I can't guarantee that anyone's going to make money or lose money with this, but I just want to know that I feel really confident with my own money before I ever talk about it to you. And since we're talking about, let me just show you how I did actually lose some money on a bot or two. Let me come back over to that. So over here, like we were saying, so when the coin value goes down, and I kind of already hinted to this a little bit, but say in this case, this GMT coin, let's say this drops by 50%. If that's the case, like the value of this is going to go down. And so unless I've earned enough to offset that with bot profit, if I were to sell it at this point, like I would lose money in total on this bot. But that's the thing, is you don't actually lose money until you sell. So if it drops by 50% and I'm still confident in this coin, you know, because part of this whole thing is figuring out which coin pairs you want to pick. And this was part of what Dan and his whole training was helpful in kind of figuring that out. Anyway, if I'm confident in the coin pair I have, I can just hold on to it because it's still making me money in the process, as long as it doesn't go out of this grid range. And even if it does, I can still expand that grid range. So even if it drops all the way down to here, like somewhere down in here, it's out of the grid range, so it's not making me money there, but I can extend the grid down and have it be making me money again. So all that to say, I had a couple bots that went down, or not the bots went down, but the coin actually dropped in value. Like in November when a whole bunch of coins dropped considerably, like Bitcoin went from 67,000 down to what, 30,000 or something. So yeah, there are a fair number of coins with 50% drop. And like I said, so had I just been holding them, like I would have lost 50%. But again, because I was using these bots on a lot of the coins I was holding, I didn't lose nearly as much because it was making me money in the process. So that's how I did lose money on some of them and how you can lose money. At the end of the day, if one of these coins like goes to zero, like you're going to lose some money. So that's why picking the right coin pair is an important piece of this whole equation. All right, so coming back to the training, when I went through the training, I think I probably spent a few hours just going through. And again, like I had already owned some Bitcoin. I had already owned Ethereum. I had maybe 2 exchanges set up. I had Coinbase and maybe KuCoin or something. So I had a head start. I didn't have to do that. Somebody brand new to crypto is going to have to open those accounts. And, you know, some of those accounts take a day or two to open. It's going to take a little time. Transferring money, like all this stuff takes a little bit of time. So once I got all that rolling, then it's like, you're just literally doing what he says to do, and it's pretty simple. So once you get through that and spend a few hours getting everything set up and going through the training, yeah, like I said, it's super passive. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the cons of this whole thing. So the biggest con that I see is that Dan's course is really expensive. He spent a lot of money trying to figure out this secret sauce, if you will. So I understand why he wants to protect it. And so it's an expensive thing to get into. But like, you know, on the other hand, like the way that I'm looking at this is if I look at this Ethereum USDT, you bot that I have going on. It's made me 8.5% in the last 2 months. If this continues, even if it's 8% and continues for the rest of the year, what is that? It's close to 50% return from this one coin pair. And to be honest, this is Ethereum, which is probably one of the least volatile coins. And so if I were using anything, investing in any other coins, just even a little bit more volatile than this, the returns get a lot better. And again, this one has a bot profit of 2.2% in about 4 days. And so if you're investing in some coins that are just a little bit more volatile, then you're going to be earning a lot more. So for example, these transactions, this shows how many buy and sells it's done. And so this one, in just such a short time, in 4 days, has done 636 transactions. Meanwhile, this one, far less volatile, has only done 74 transactions in 2 months. So anyway, all that to say, Dan said in the program, I remember hearing him say that the average student is earning about 70% per year, which again, like, I'm coming from the financial world. If you're familiar with average returns, like, that just sounds insane. And, and the caveat again, I would add, is that this is risky. This is crypto. But in this crypto space, I mean, this is why I think you've seen so many people that have become crypto millionaires, because it's a new world, it's a new industry. It's the same thing when the internet started. There were so many people who made a lot of money because they were at the beginning of something really big. And we're still relatively at the beginning of mass adoption with crypto, and it's becoming more and more, widely used and adopted. But the point is, there's a lot of opportunity still. And, in looking at this one, like, I think there's a good chance that we could, if this one continued at this rate, blow past that average return of 70% per year. All right, so over in this area, we can see these are some different coin pairings and how they've returned for the last month. And so this particular one, FTG USDT, has returned 32% in the last month, which is just nuts. Now, what I've found is that a lot of these really, really high-performing ones don't last very long, so they might return really well for a little bit, and then they kind of fizzle out, or even go backwards. And Dan goes all into this in the course and shows you what to do and blah, 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 all that stuff. So, but the point is that if you're using a more volatile coin, your earnings can be really considerably bigger than what I'm doing with Ethereum and USDT. But still, like, I'm tickled pink that I have an 8.5% return over 2 months, and that this about $5,000 investment has made me about $449 in that amount of time. So the cost of the program is my first con. I wish it was cheaper, but it's not my program. I can't make it be cheaper. The other thing that I would say is Dan is a former teacher and just a very gentle guy, and I think does a great job explaining all this stuff. But the sales team he hired is a little bit salesy for my taste. And everybody has a different kind of threshold for how they handle that stuff. But yeah, it's just a little bit more. I might be sensitive, but it's a little bit more salesy than I'd like. But what I did and what I recommend doing is, seeing past that and seeing the actual product itself. Decide for yourself if this is something that you want to do. I mean, I know crypto isn't for everybody, and that's completely fine. But if this is something you want to do, try to see past that and just see the merits of the product and see if it makes sense for you itself. And so the third con, if you will, is that it's risky. And so that means there's a big upside, but there's a big downside. And you just have to know that going into it. I would never invest money that I was not comfortable losing, in terms of, like, I would never invest grocery money. I would never invest retirement savings or kids' college funds in this. Other types of investments might do that in. We talk about that more in our 10X investing course. That is more of the stable, slower approach that I feel very confident in over the long term. Still volatile, still ups and downs, like any investing is going to have that. But crypto, it's just bigger ups and downs. It's a bigger roller coaster. And so you just have to know what you're doing, what you're investing in. And yeah, I just don't want anyone getting into this and putting their rent money in something like this. That's just not a good idea. So if you are interested in learning more, I would recommend checking out Dan's webinar. You can check that out. He gives tons of detail, goes through a lot of different case studies, and shows how the whole thing works, and it'll be very informative for you. If nothing else, you can decide for yourself if this is something you want to do or if you feel like this makes sense for you. And I will have a link to that down below, so you can check that out if you want to. And if you do decide to sign up and join the program, send me an email, bob@SeedTime, and let me know, because I would like to, I just want to know who's in it so we can all kind of chat together and share experiences and share what we're learning. And, I just found a really cool coin pair. Like, can you show me that one? And, just share stuff. I think that'd be helpful. And so I have a couple people who I know who are doing this, a couple friends who I'm doing it with. And I found that it's be really helpful when we can kind of share what we're doing through the whole thing. Also, I am happy to answer questions about my experience with this whole thing and share anything I can to help you. YouTube comments, I do my best to get to sometimes, but it's just not a regular rhythm at this point. So you can ask questions on there, but if I'm not getting to them fast enough, then send me an email, again, bob@SeedTime, or DM me on Instagram @SeedTime. That'll be the fastest way to get a hold of me for me to get a response to you. But anyway, wrapping this whole thing up, I've been really excited about this. And I've sat on this because when I first, if you're on my email list, when I first started doing this, I was doing it for about a month and I wasn't to the point to even have an opinion about it, And so I'm not one of those people that I draw these conclusions in the first 2 days I'm doing something. Like, I really dig in to make sure that I feel really good about it before I even share my opinion on it. And so even after doing this for a month, I wasn't sharing an opinion. Like, I let some of you know I was experimenting with something, but that was it. And now I feel pretty good about it, and I'm going to keep doing it, where I'm going to be adding more money to it. So do your own research, make your own wise decisions as to whether this makes sense for you and your family. And if you found this helpful, and I'm going to be sharing hopefully more ideas, passive income ideas and things that I'm doing and trying out over the next year or so to come. And so if you found this helpful, hit a like for me, subscribe if you want to hear more stuff about passive income and things along those lines. But that is all for today. Make it an awesome one. See ya.